After Diane has been released from prison, she arrives at the halfway house she has been relocated to, and after getting settled in, she uses the house phone to call Tommy and let him know that she's been released. The phone rings at Tommy's house. Fred, Tommy's father, answers. Fred says, "Hello." Diane says, "Hey, Fred, how are you? Is Tommy home?" Fred replies, "Hey, Diane, how's it going? Did the prison number change? I didn't recognize this number on the caller ID." Diane says, "No, Fred, I got out. Is Tommy home? I wanted to tell him the good news." Fred says, "Sorry, Diane, you just missed him. I'll let him know that you called when he gets home." "Wait, did you say that you got out of prison?" Diane says, "Yes, I did. Isn't that wonderful?" Fred says, "That's great news, Diane, but I didn't know it would happen that quick. That's unexpected." Diane says, "It was, but an opportunity came up and let me out on early release." Fred says, "Well, I'm glad to hear you're out. I hope you keep your nose clean and stay out of trouble." Diane says, "That's the idea, Fred. So can you let Tommy know I called and give him the number to the halfway house I'm staying at?" Fred replies, "I can." Diane gives Fred the number to write down. Fred says, "I'll have him give you a call." Diane says, "Thanks, Fred. It was nice talking to you." Marcus and Steven are at Marcus's house dividing up product and money that they have made off the most recent supply. Steven says, "This is crazy, man. I can't believe I'm doing this shit. To think a month ago I was in band with a bunch of virgins that never smoked weed. Now I'm like you, selling this shit." Marcus replies, "What the fuck you mean like me? I wasn't selling this shit before I met you. Matter of fact, wasn't this your idea? And you're still a virgin last I heard." Takes a hit of blunt. "And that I can't help you with." Steven replies, "Man, whatever. And I didn't even mean it like that. And this shit was Tommy's idea. He just coerced me into it." Marcus says, "Too late to cry about it now with your crybaby ass. We in this shit deep." The noise of the front door opening alarms Marcus. Marcus quickly puts blunt out frantically. "Oh, fuck. Shh. Hurry. Help me put this shit away." Marcus aggressively sprays a half can of Lysol. Steven says, "What the fuck is going on?" Marcus says, "Man, my mom's home early. You gotta hide. Here, go in the closet." Steven says, "Man, I'm not going in the fucking closet like a man Frank." Marcus pushes him in the closet and shuts the door. Marcus's mom, Angela, opens the bedroom door. Angela says, "Hey, Marcus, why's your bedroom door shut?" Marcus says, "I'm sorry, Mama. I was just doing some homework and wanted to concentrate." Angela says, "Oh, okay. Why does it smell like a whole can of Lysol erupted in here?" Marcus says, "Oh, that? Well, me and my friends played basketball all morning, and I didn't have time to shower, so I wanted to get that sweaty smell out of my room." A loud noise from the closet is heard. Marcus face palms, and Angela gets a shocked look on her face. Angela says, "What is going on in that closet, Marcus?" Marcus says, "I'm sorry, Ma. I meant to tell you, my friend Steven came over to work on homework together. He asked if he could borrow some clothes to change into, so he went in there to see what would fit him." Angela says, "Well, let's meet the Steven, shall we?" Angela opens the closet door as Marcus stands behind her, grilling Steven. Angela sees Steven looking nervous, trying to hang a pile of clothes back up that clearly fell off the pole. Steven says, "Hi, Marcus's mom. It's nice to meet you." Angela says, "It's nice to meet you as well, Steven. Did you find what you were looking for?" Steven quickly grabs a random pair of pants and a shirt that clearly don't belong together and exits the closet. Marcus says, "I'm glad you guys could meet, Mom. We were actually just getting ready to go to Steven's." Marcus and Steven start heading for the door. Angela says, "Where do you think you're going, Marcus?" "You can head out, Steven. I'm going to need to have a word with Marcus really quick." Steven leaves the house and waits in the car. Marcus says, "What's this about, Ma?" Angela says, "What did I tell you about hanging out with those white boys? I told you they ain't nothing but trouble, didn't I?" Marcus says, "It's 2004, Mama. You can't be thinking like that anymore. Things are different now." Angela says, "Different for whom, Marcus?" Marcus says, "Different for everybody. What are you talking about?" Angela says, "Yeah, you think it's real different until you're getting pulled over by the police one night and your friends get sent home while you get sent to a jail cell." Marcus says, "Mama, no disrespect, but you're tripping. That ain't gonna happen." Angela says, "You need to listen, Marcus." Marcus says, "Man, whatever. Can I go now?" Angela says, "Don't be out too late. We'll talk about this later." Marcus leaves his home, gets in the car where Steven is waiting in the passenger seat. Marcus, still angry from the talk with his mom, says, "So what's good for tonight, Steven? What are we doing? Where's Tommy at?" Steven says, "I just got off the phone with him. He's with Michael and Maximo. He says he's got a surprise for us. We're going to meet at my house. My parents are gone for the weekend again." Marcus responds, "Man, your parents ain't ever home. They don't even care about you, do they?" Steven says, "Don't get mad at me because you got grounded, dude." Steven chuckles. Marcus says, "Man, shut up." Marcus and Steven drive off to Steven's house. As Marcus and Steven are pulling up to Steven's house, Tommy, Michael, and Maximo are already in the driveway waiting for their arrival. Steven lets everyone inside the house. Steven says, "So what the hell were you guys doing all day? And what's this surprise you have for me?" Tommy pulls out a Ziploc bag out of his backpack that's filled with ecstasy pills. He throws it at Steven. Steven, having the reflex to catch and then seeing what it is, drops it. Steven says, "What the fuck is that, man?" Michael and Maximo laughing. Maximo, "What do you think it is?" Michael says, "It's sweet tarts, you ufty." Steven says, "This can't be in my house, man. Holy shit. They're charging manslaughter for one fucking pill. What is this bag? The Holocaust?" Tommy says, "Dog, relax. This shit is going to be gone before you know it." Steven says, "Oh yeah? And how's that, smart guy?" Tommy says, "We got people lined up, ready to come to the party tonight and buy out the product." Steven says, "The party? What party?" Maximo says, "The party you're throwing tonight." Steven says, "No, I never okayed that, man." Steven's phone gets a text message alert. As he's opening his phone to view the message, a bunch of other messages come in. Steven says, "These people are texting me that they heard I'm throwing a party from a MySpace bulletin. Did you post a MySpace bulletin, Tommy?" Tommy replies, "I posted a MySpace bulletin." Steven says, "I could strangle you right now, dude." Tommy says, "Yeah, but you won't. You love me too much." A couple hours later, people start arriving to the party. While the regular pot smokers and alcohol drinkers are there, a new crowd has joined. Eric Green and his best friend, Jose Pappuccino, walk in. Eric goes up to Tommy. "So you got that 982, bro?" Tommy says, "I got it right here for you, dog. 10 a pop." Eric buys 4 and gives 2 to Jose. Tommy says, "Damn, y'all taking 2 at a time?" Jose says, "This isn't our first rodeo, my friend. Plus, sometimes the quality can be pretty hit or miss." Maximo overhears, somewhat offended, and chimes in. "This is top-tier quality." Eric and Jose look back at Tommy. "Is that true, Tommy?" Tommy says, "Hey, that's what the man said." Jose says, "You haven't tried it?" Tommy says, "Not yet, man." Eric says, "I don't think we can take it unless you do. It could be poison." Tommy says, "Man, what? Let me get this shit. Ain't no fucking poison." Maximo says, "Hey, we supposed to be selling this shit, not using it." Tommy says, "Hey, if we're going to be putting our name on this, we have to prove it's grade A quality." Tommy then looks at Michael. Michael says, "Hey, he's got a point." Maximo says, "Whatever. Y'all can do it. I'm not doing it." Michael says, "You don't even smoke weed. You think anyone expects you to do it, you big fucking statue?" Tommy sees Steven drinking with other people and tells him to come over. Steven, now buzzed and a little looser, comes in and says, "What's up, guys?" Tommy says, "What's up is we about to take some of this X." Steven says, I don't know, man. That's not really my thing. People in the circle start peer pressuring him. "Come on, Steven, come on. Don't be a pussy. Don't be a pussy." Steven says, fuck it. He takes the pill from Maximo. Andre says, "Matter of fact, let me get one too." Maximo looks angry. Tommy shoulder shrugs and says, "Hey, he's part of the crew. What do you want me to do?" Tommy, Steven, Andre, Marcus, and Michael each cheers their pills together and swallow them. Marcus says, "Guess we about to do some white boy shit tonight, huh?" As the night goes on, more people arrive. Travis and his friend Trina show up. Travis enters with a 24 case of Bud Light. Travis says, "Hey, what's up, guys? Anyone want a Bud Light?" Tommy says, "Everyone put your hands up. It's Officer Travis." Travis says, Yeah, very funny, Tommy." Marcus says, "First you was a stealing motherfucker, now you a policing motherfucker. How's that happen?" Tommy sees Trina. "So what's up with you, Trina?" Trina says, "What's up with you, Tommy? Are you okay? You're looking a little bit excited." Trina looks at Eric. "You gave him ecstasy, didn't you?" Eric says, "No, he gave me ecstasy." Trina says, "Oh, is that so? Since when did you start doing ecstasy?" Steven burst in from the other room dancing. Steven says, "Since today." Trina says, "Wait, I know that isn't Stephen Clark on ecstasy. What is going on here?" Tommy says, "What you know about E?" Trina says, "I know that you're rolling your ass off right now." Tommy says, "And what makes you think that?" Trina says, "I've been raving since 9th grade, and your pupils are the size of bowling balls." Tommy walks off the other way and says, "Man, she don't know what she's talking about." As more people arrive at the party and are doing ecstasy, the music shifts from hip-hop to techno as Jose brings out his mixed CDs. Jose says, "Now this is about to blow your socks off." Plays Sandstorm. Party erupts in shouting and dancing. Michael is in the corner with two girls vibing to the beat. Steven walks up to Tommy. "Dude, this is the greatest night of my fucking life, man." Tommy says, "I know, man. I fucking love you, man." Joe enters the party with his friend Transport. Joe says, "What the hell is going on here?" Andre dances up to Joe and grabs him. "You're amazing, Joe. Who cares what they say about you?" Joe pushes him off. "What the fuck are you talking about? And why are you guys being so weird?" Tommy says, "So who's this dude you're with?" Joe says, "Oh, that's Transport. He's a friend from work." Transport comes in. "Hey, what's up, man?" Introduces himself. Tommy says, "Why do they call you Transport?" Transport, Joe interrupts. "I call him Transport because my ride broke down and he had to transport me over here." Tommy cheers a beer to him. "Well, Transport it is, I guess." As the party goes to full climax, Travis is in the corner sending text messages. Brad and his partner, Officer Bill, are out on patrol for work when a call comes in about a loud house party. Bill says jokingly, "Oh, looks like we got a big bust on our hands, Brad." Brad says, "Do you think I'll get my first arrest here?" Bill says, "Slow down there, young bull. We usually don't process any for house parties unless there's something dangerous going on. We're just going to scare them a little bit and shut it down." Brad says, "But they're breaking the law. There's probably drugs and underage drinking." Bill says, "What? Did you never go to one of these parties in high school, Brad?" Brad says, "No, that wasn't really my thing. I kept my nose clean and stayed out of trouble." Bill says, "You don't have to lie to me, Brad. It's not a big deal. It's okay to have a little fun once in a while." Brad replies, "Fine, maybe a party once or twice." Bill says, that's the spirit, Brad. Brad says, doesn't mean I wasn't doing something wrong. Bill says, it also doesn't mean your whole life should have been ruined by that either, right? Officer Brad and Officer Bill pull up to Steven's house party. As Bill is getting out of the squad car, he says, all right, let's have a little fun, shall we? Follow my lead, Brad. Trina sees the police car pull up from the window and shouts, cops, cops, cops are here. The music gets shut off, and Michael and Maximo grab the bag of ecstasy and toss it above one of the basement ceiling tiles to hide it. A bunch of kids run out the back door, including Tommy, Steven, Marcus, Andre, Eric, and Jose. As they're running and hopping fences through different backyards, Tommy says to Steven, what the fuck are you doing? You can't leave your own party, man. Someone has to be there to talk to the cops. Steven replies, fuck that. I'm not getting busted. Tommy says, what do you mean? They're just going to leave a ticket that your parents will have to pay if you're not there. Steven looks at everyone else. Running out of breath, he says, why the hell didn't you guys stay then? Marcus looks at Andre and then looks back to Steven and said, our black asses ain't staying nowhere near the police. Your white ass can handle that shit. The boys keep running and hopping fences. As their hearts are pounding out of their chest, they can't tell how much of it is from actual running and how much of it is from the ecstasy. Back at Steven's house, Officer Bill and Brad are knocking on the door trying to get in. Officer Bill shouts, police, open the door. Trina, feeling like she needs to be the one to take responsibility, opens it. Hey, officer, how can I help you? Officer Bill says, are you the owner of this home? Or the child of the owner, I should say? Trina says, no, officer. The owner isn't home right now, but I can leave a message if you'd like. Officer Bill says, where is the owner or the owner's child that is throwing this party? Joe intervenes and says, it's like she told you. They're gone, dog. What's the problem? Officer Brad walks toward Joe, gets in his face and says, what's your name? Joe says, why do you need that? Brad says, do you want to be arrested for not complying and get an MIP for that alcohol I smell on your breath? Joe says, all right, my name's Joe. Brad says, so what's this attitude about, Joe? You think you're a tough guy? Joe replies, I don't recall saying I had one. Brad says, that's it. Get your hands on the wall and spread your legs, now. Joe says, what's this about, officer? I didn't do anything wrong. Brad says, oh, we'll see about that, won't we? Brad searches him and finds a small bag of weed in his right pocket. Brad throws the weed on the table. What's this? Bill says, looks like we have a felony charge for a controlled substance and an MIP for that beer on his breath. Joe says, oh, come on, dog. Please, officer, give me another chance. Officer Bill looks to the nervous faces in the house and shines his flashlight in their eyes. Officer Bill says, you're all drunk and on drugs, aren't you? He then repeats himself. I said, how many of you are on drugs and alcohol tonight? The crowd of teenagers are too nervous to respond. Officer Bill smashes his flashlight in the wall and gets even louder. Once again, how many of you are on drugs and alcohol tonight? Hands from the nervous crowd start going up. Bill says, Officer Brad, go get the extra handcuffs from the squad car, please. It looks like we have a lot of people going to jail tonight. Pleading cries from the crowd break out, begging to not be arrested. Brad says, everyone line up, facing the wall, and get your hands behind your back, now. Officer Bill nods at Officer Brad and makes his walkie-talkie go off with an alert sound. Bill says, you kids are lucky tonight. It looks like there's an emergency me and my partner need to rush to. Now everyone go the hell home. This party is over, and I better not see any of your faces again. Everyone clears out of the party. Tommy, Steven, Marcus, Andre, Eric, and Jose finally get far enough from the party where they feel safe stopping. Steven says, I should go back, shouldn't I? Tommy says, yeah, they probably kicked open your door, arrested everyone, and left a fine for your parents by now. Steven says, it's not fucking funny, Tommy. Eric says, yeah, I think it's time we call it a night, fellas. Everyone is getting ready to split up and go home. Before leaving, Jose hugs Tommy and Steven and says, I love you guys, man. You threw the best party I've ever been to. He turns around to start walking, raises his hand with his index finger pointed to the sky and shouts, stay up! As he fades into the distance, his arm stays raised in that same position. Tommy says to Steven, that ecstasy still hasn't worn off, huh? Steven says, definitely not.